There comes a moment in every life when the mirror stops lying, when silence becomes louder than excuses, when comfort turns into a prison, when average tastes like ash. It doesn't happen with applause. It doesn't wait for permission. It arrives in solitude, in stillness, in that hollow space where your soul starts asking questions your habits can't answer. And if you listen closely, you'll hear it whisper. This is the standard, not the one they gave you. Not the one built from comparison or validation. Not the one shaped by weakness, culture, or trends. The real standard. The one forged in clarity, fired in discipline, tempered by the invisible war between who you've been and who you must become. You don't find the standard. You build it every day with thought, with intention, with unbreakable alignment between who you are in private and who you dare to be in public. This is not about goals. Goals come and go. This is about identity. This is about deciding that who you are is no longer negotiable, that there are things beneath you now, thoughts, patterns, moods, habits, words, because they don't belong to the future you're constructing. Most people never decide. They dabble in dreams. They flirt with greatness, but they never fully commit to a standard. So their life never commits to them. Understand this. You don't rise to your vision. You fall to your standard. It's not how much you want it. It's how much you've prepared for it. And preparation begins with principle, with a level of self-respect that refuses to let circumstance dictate outcome. Lincoln had no luxury, no wealth, no father's name to stand on. But what he had was principle. He built his mind in candlelight. He sharpened his thoughts in solitude. And when the pressure came, he didn't fold, he rose. Because he already decided who he was long before history ever asked him to prove it. You are not waiting for a moment. You are becoming the moment. You are sculpting yourself for the weight of what's coming. Because the future doesn't reward effort. It rewards alignment. And alignment begins with a decision. This is who I am now. This is the standard. Everything else is no longer acceptable. You stop negotiating. You stop explaining. You stop asking people who've settled for less if it's okay to demand more from yourself. Because they'll tell you it's too much. Because they stopped believing in discipline years ago. Let them drown in comfort. You were not born for that. You were born to lead your own mind, to command your own energy, to look at what your life has been and declare, it ends here. The doubt ends here. The procrastination ends here. The confusion ends here. Because confusion is not a symptom. It's a decision. And the cure is commitment. You don't need more information. You need immersion. You need to throw yourself into who you're becoming like your name is on the line, because it is. Carnegie didn't wait to be qualified. He didn't wait to feel ready. He aligned himself with the future before it existed. And because of that, he made reality bend. That's the power of standard. It doesn't ask for what exists. It commands what must exist. That's why the masses stay lost in motivation. They consume. They hope. They say, I'll try. But you're not trying. You're becoming. And becoming requires fire. It requires saying no to 1,000 things so you can say yes to what actually moves the needle. The world will tempt you every hour to compromise, to delay, to numb out, to coast. But when your standard is locked in, you move differently. You say things like, I don't negotiate with laziness. I don't shrink to be liked. I don't run from the mirror, I confront it. I don't skip the work. I am the work. That is the language of someone who's decided, not just to succeed, but to become the kind of person success cannot ignore. Success, real success, isn't something you chase. It's something you attract by the person you're committed to being when no one's watching. That's the standard. It's not the big moments that define you. It's the invisible ones. The decision to get up when your feelings beg you to rest. The choice to study when your friends scroll. The ability to delay praise because your vision isn't for now. It's for next decade. Most people can't last long enough to win. They self-destruct before their seeds take root. But if you're reading this, it's because something in you refuses to die ordinary, refuses to live in mediocrity, refuses to carry potential to the grave. And that refusal, that defiance, that sacred decision to rise above what's expected, that is the mark of greatness. It's not flashy. It's not loud. It's not even seen at first. It's the hours no one will clap for. The practice no one will document. The mental reps that break your ego so your identity can be rebuilt with steel. Ford was laughed at when he said the horse would be replaced. Edison was doubted when he said light could come from wire. They were dismissed, rejected, mocked. But the standard doesn't need applause. It just needs execution. They kept showing up, and eventually, the world caught up to their conviction. That's how you lead. That's how you dominate. That's how you become untouchable. By letting your standard lead the way and forcing the rest of your life to align with it. You don't rise in moments of motivation. You rise in moments of alignment when the future you've chosen becomes non-negotiable, and every thought, every action, every word, every silence must now serve the outcome. That's what discipline really is. It's not rigidity. It's reverence. Reverence for who you're becoming. Reverence for the opportunity to wake up and prove it. Because the world doesn't give greatness. It tests for it. And the test always shows up, dressed like silence, discomfort, delay, and obscurity. And that's why most fold. They want the win, but not the weight. They want the crown, but not the crucible. But not you, because you weren't born for convenience. You were born to become indestructible. And to become that, you need standards that won't shake when life starts shaking you. It's easy to say, I'm disciplined, when everything is smooth. But can you say it when your plans shatter? Can you say it when your bank account is low? When you feel alone? When you've been grinding with no applause for months, years even? Can you still say, this is the standard, and I will not break? That's the level. That's where the elite are forged not by what they do when they win, but by who they refuse to stop being while they wait. Michelangelo spent 4 years on the ceiling of the Sistine Chapel, laying on scaffolding, painting with such precision it redefined the limits of human excellence. No audience, no fame, no modern distractions to validate him along the way. Just a vision, and a standard so high it whispered to his bones, give the world something it cannot ignore. And he did. So the question becomes, what are you building in silence? What discipline are you practicing that no one sees yet, but the world will one day feel? The standard doesn't need a crowd. It just needs consistency. Every rep, every rejection, every hard decision that no one claps for. They're bricks. Bricks in a wall that will outlast every person who doubted you. Because doubt doesn't disqualify you. Only detachment from your standard does. That's why vision without values is a lie. It looks good, sounds good, inspires people, but when pressure hits, It shatters because it was never anchored. Vision must be rooted in something, and that something is who you've decided you are. The standard is not about achievement. It's about alignment with your higher self. It's the daily war between who you were and who you're becoming. And every time you choose principle over preference, you win. Every time you wake up and execute when no one's asking, when no one's watching, when no one's cheering, you win. And that win rewires your brain. It rebuilds your identity. It becomes proof that you no longer live at the mercy of mood, circumstance, or doubt. Your body starts to understand. We don't operate on emotion anymore. We operate on standard. Think about that, because that's the moment you go from a consumer of life to a creator of it. Your language changes. Your posture changes. Your circle changes. Your energy becomes different. You walk into rooms, and people don't know why they feel the need to level up, but it's because your standard speaks without saying a word. And that's real leadership. Leadership is not a title. It's not charisma. It's not about being followed. It's about being anchored. It's about being so clear on who you are, what you value, and where you're headed, that nothing external can shake your internal world. Not rejection, not judgment, not failure, because you don't live by result anymore. You live by code. This is the standard, and the code is simple. We show up early. We over-prepare. We deliver more than promised. We own every mistake. We seek no applause. We work in silence. We study in solitude. We build in the dark so that when the light hits, the world sees something unshakable. Because the standard is what's left when motivation burns out. It's what's left when your friends quit. It's what holds you together when everything's falling apart. It's the reason why, 5 years from now, your results will not be lucky. They will be inevitable. This is the standard, and it's not given to you by family. It's not inherited by genetics. It's not granted by society. It's forged by you, in your mind, in your routines, in your deepest private moments of doubt when you decide, I will not be moved. I will not go back. I will not settle. I did not come this far to repeat my past. I came this far to raise the ceiling for everyone that comes after me. Because this isn't just about you. This is about legacy. Every time you break a pattern, every time you build instead of blame, every time you raise the bar instead of make excuses, you are rewriting what your bloodline believes is possible. And that's bigger than you. They may not know your name, but generations will live freer, think bigger, and believe harder because of the standard you held when no one else would. You don't get to choose whether you lead. You only get to choose how you lead. Most people think leadership is about position, power, or influence. But true leadership is about consistency, about living the standard every single day, no matter who's watching. Because, truthfully, it's not about the applause or the attention. It's about what's left when all of that fades away. When the cameras turn off. When the crowd is gone. When your bank account drops for the 10th time. When doubt creeps in like an old friend, and you're left with nothing but your commitment. That's when you see what's really inside. That's when you realize if your standard has been solidified or if it's just been a good story. This is why most people will never achieve what they dream of. They have a great idea of success, but no internal structure to sustain it. They want the spotlight, but not the responsibility of the dark hours. And when it gets tough, when it feels like the world is moving against you, most will quit. Most will fall back into what's easy. Most will stop just when they're about to break through. But you are not like most. You've set a standard that doesn't bend with the wind. You've built a code that doesn't compromise in the face of fear. You've chosen to rise instead of retreat. You've made a decision that you're unmovable. Because the people who change the world are the ones who can stand alone. The ones who can say, "I will not be moved by the crowd." The ones who can feel the weight of their mission and carry it anyway. The ones who keep going when the applause fades, when the outcome is uncertain, when everything inside screams to give up. They keep going, not because it's easy, but because their standard is non-negotiable. And when you've decided that the standard is everything, you become unstoppable. What's your standard? What's the standard you are holding yourself to, day in and day out? Is it a standard of excellence or mediocrity? Is it a standard that will stand the test of time, or one that crumbles when pressure arrives? There are some people who never achieve their potential because they don't believe they deserve more than what they have. They get comfortable with being good enough, with not rocking the boat. They accept a life that's okay because it's what everyone around them is used to. But you're not that person. You weren't born to stay in the okay. You were born to demand the best from yourself. You were born to break out of the mediocre, to challenge every limit, to silence every doubt. You were born to walk into rooms and change the energy just by being there, to rise above what's normal, to redefine success on your own terms, to become the example of what happens when a person decides they will not settle for anything less than their best. And it doesn't happen overnight. It happens in the moments, the quiet moments, when no one else is watching. The moments when you could easily choose comfort, but you choose the standard instead. The moments when everyone else quits, but you press on. Those moments add up. And eventually, when you look back, you'll realize they were the very moments that forged you into the leader you are today. And if you can handle those moments when no one is watching, if you can endure the days when everything seems stacked against you, if you can walk through fire and refuse to be burned, you will become unbreakable. Your results? They won't be a surprise. They'll be a certainty. Because the world doesn't reward luck. It rewards relentless persistence, an unwavering commitment to a standard so high it demands your best. It rewards the person who shows up even when they feel small. It rewards the person who stays the course even when every voice says to quit. It rewards the person who refuses to settle, who chooses to walk through the discomfort and emerge as something greater. And that's where the magic happens. Not when you feel like it, not when it's easy, but when you commit to showing up regardless. That's the power of the standard. It's the power to make every decision align with the person you must become. It's the power to say no to distractions, to fear, to temporary setbacks, and to say yes to the future you deserve. It's the power to live on purpose, to live with intention, and to live with a commitment that cannot be swayed. The greatest achievers in history understood this. They didn't wait for the right moment. They didn't wait for conditions to align. They didn't wait for validation. They created the standard. And in doing so, they created their own future. When Ford built the first car, people told him it couldn't be done. They said it was impossible. But he didn't listen to the crowd. He listened to the standard he had set for himself. When Edison was told that his idea of lighting the world with electricity was a fantasy, he didn't give up. He didn't listen to the failures. He just kept going. They understood that the standard isn't a matter of circumstance, it's a matter of decision. Your standard will either shape you or you will shape it. The question is, who will you become when the world tells you it's impossible? Will you bend or will you rise? You are not here to blend in. You are not here to follow rules built for lesser men. You are not here to impress, perform, or apologize for being driven. You are here to build something eternal. A mindset that can't be broken. A body that doesn't quit. A spirit that doesn't flinch. A presence that doesn't shrink when challenged. You are here to lead even if no one follows yet. To carry weight, even if it's invisible to the world. To become the proof that greatness is not a myth, but a decision. The moment you stop entertaining your limitations, the moment you stop asking people what they think, the moment you stop begging your past for permission to live your future, that is the moment you become free. Because the standard, your real standard, is the key that unlocks everything they said you couldn't be. They'll say, you changed. They'll say you've become cold, distant, intense. Good. Because the version of you that needed their approval was never going to make it. You don't chase validation anymore. You command reality. With action, with intention, with relentless forward motion. You speak less, you do more. You doubt less, you build more. You fear less, you feel more deeply and move anyway. Your thoughts are no longer random. They are disciplined. They are weaponized. They are pure electricity channeled into creation. Because once you've tasted what alignment feels like, you will never return to chaos. And what is alignment? It's waking up and knowing that everything in your life, your health, your time, your circle, your energy, your focus, is in service of one outcome: becoming the person you were born to be. That's why you train when others sleep. That's why you read when others scroll. That's why you push through resistance. Why you delay gratification. Why you sacrifice comfort not out of punishment, but out of reverence for your purpose. This is why they won't understand you. Because most people are addicted to soothing their wounds. You are addicted to sharpening your edge. And every day you move with that intensity, you carve a new identity into your soul, one that cannot be manipulated by circumstance. Storms come, you stand. Plans fail, you adapt. People doubt, you rise. Time delays, you keep walking. You don't get weaker, you get clearer. Because pain is no longer something you run from. It's something you alchemize. Setbacks are no longer threats, they're tools. Critics are no longer enemies, they're mirrors. And the moment you realize that your life is being built in the shadows is the moment you stop fearing the dark. Because the dark is where the standard is refined. It's where the greats are forged. Not in spotlight, not in applause, but in the brutal silence between one failure and the next decision to keep going anyway. That's where you become undeniable. And eventually, yes, eventually, the world will catch up. They'll call you lucky. They'll call you gifted. They'll call you chosen. Let them. You'll know the truth. You'll know the days you almost gave up. You'll know the nights you questioned your sanity. You'll know the sacrifices, the missed calls, the birthdays spent building, the tears that left no record. And you'll know it was all worth it. Because this life you built didn't come from a shortcut. It came from the standard. This is what you've earned. This is what you've built with blood and silence and unshakable conviction. And it's only the beginning. Because now the question is not, will you win? You've already decided that. The new question is, who else rises because you held the line? Who else believes in themselves now because they saw what was possible in you? Who else fights harder, thinks sharper, lives bolder, because your standard refused to die. That's what legacy is. It's not a name. It's not a monument. It's not a memory. It's a wake. It's the fire you leave behind in the hearts of everyone who watched you refuse to settle. So hold it. Hold the standard like your life depends on it, because it does. And not just your life, theirs. Your children, your circle, your future generations, your name, your story, your soul. This is not just a practice anymore. This is your identity. From this moment forward, this is the standard, and you never fall below it again.